We're back with Ron Reagan and Howard and April and Jason awaiting Trump's pep rally in Mobile, Alabama. Trump, by the way, has proved he has staying power. Now his campaign needs to formulate a strategy to actually capitalize on the huge interest in order to achieve an actual primary set of victories. Trump leads, by the way, in the polls in the early states of Iowa and New Hampshire right now. He scored big in those states with helicopter rides at the state fair out in Iowa and a raucous town meeting. Anyway, tonight he turned his Trump emblazoned plane south. There it is, where his relentless drumbeat on immigration has appeal, apparently, down there. According to the USA Today, strategists in South Carolina think, quote, his message plays well with conservatives who believe that cheap foreign labor, bad trade deals, and immigration, legal or otherwise, have cost American jobs, and that the so-called political establishment has failed to address these problems. Trump is, by the way, starting his effort to conquer the South tonight. Billionaire Trump says he doesn't need to generate monetary donations from other normal presidential candidates, but he does need to formulate a good contacts list, of course, for people to help him locally to have a ground game. To gain entry to the pep rally, by the way, in Mobile, Trump is requiring attendees to give their email addresses in their online ticket request forms. That campaign's goal, of course, for getting the message out to voters. But Trump would not exactly seem to be a natural fit for Southern evangelicals with his unrepentant approach to religion. I love that phrase, unrepentant.
I like to do the right thing where I don't have to actually ask for forgiveness. Does that make sense to you? You know, where you don't make such bad things that you don't have to ask for forgiveness. I mean, I try and lead a life where I don't have to ask God for forgiveness. If I make a mistake, yeah, I think it's great, but I try not to make mistakes. I mean, why do I have to, you know, repent? Why do I have to ask for forgiveness if you're not making mistakes?
Why didn't we think of that? And as a New Yorker, he does seem to speak the language of the Southern pro-gun rights crowd. Here he is talking Second Amendment.
You're for the Second Amendment. Do you have a gun?
I have a license to have a gun. Yes, I do.
Do you own one?
Yes, I do.
Do you use it? Gun range?
It's none of your business. It's really none of your business. I have a license to have a gun.
Gun control?
What are you talking about?
Or stronger background checks.
Yes, I have a gun. Excuse me. Yes, I have a gun, and yes, I have a permit to have a gun.
Excuse me. I love that. Excuse me. You all ready for Trump? Anyway, I'm back with the roundtable, of course, Ron and Howard and Jason and April. I want to start with Ron again. It's easy to start with you out there. Let's talk about the Bernie Sanders thing. We're giving so much time to Trump. Bernie Sanders' coalition is not the same as Obama's coalition. Obama's coalition, obviously, it started with people who are African-American, who thrilled at the possibility of the first African-American president in their lifetime. A lot of liberals, also liberal whites, liked him. I think he built on those two foundations. Bernie's building sort of a campus revolt with, I guess, some, if you will, proletarian support, if you will, people on the hard left. Your thoughts?
Well, Bernie Sanders is saying the things that he's been saying for 25 years. He's a pro-labor kind of Democrat. He self-identifies as a socialist. That's a new thing for American politics. But he's got a lot going against him. You know, Bernie Sanders is going to have to buck the establishment media too. The New York Times article you cited earlier in the program, that was a big article about how he's drawing big crowds and all that. But the first word in the headline was angry. Angry Sanders, and then it went on to talk about him snarling at people and glaring at a reporter who asked him a question in an impromptu press conference after one of these rallies. Well, I saw the video clip of that press conference. He wasn't glaring, and he wasn't snarling, and he wasn't angry. But the media the mainstream media is going to do their best to marginalize Bernie Sanders because he makes them uncomfortable. He's an actual progressive.
Are you saying that somebody's got their thumb on the scale at the New York Times for Hillary?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I am.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, Howard. That's direct. Thanks, Ron.
Can I just say that Bernie doesn't make me uncomfortable at all? And I'm saying that as someone who was, I think, one of the first, if not the first, to interview him about his presidential hopes going back. I think what he's doing is, yes, he's got an edge to him, but he's got tons of substantive proposals about things, which also runs counter to the way politics works today, Ron.
Okay, I think a lot of New York Times readers of the New York Times like him. Yeah. I think New York Times readers are looking at the guy seriously. Anyway, Trump supporters, we got it back to him, say his straight talk has fired up a broad base of first-time voters. Well, they haven't voted yet, and disconnected voters who have discontented, who have yet to have been sitting out previous elections. In Iowa, a Tea Party leader says, quote, some are on the fence, but they're beginning to drop for Donald. The Tea Party doesn't want any mushy middle moderates. Then there's the woman down there that says, I didn't get to see, I never went out to see Elvis Presley, but I'm not going to miss this guy. So there's a bread and circuses aspect to this, Jason.
Look, it's fantastic if it's sustainable. I mean, I think it's perfectly fine.
Is he a Roman candle?
Yeah, he's a Roman candle. Like
Are you
we were talking
sure?
about before.
You're gonna bet on that?
I'm willing to bet on it. If he can't keep this up, and he's got to get. It's one thing to talk about all these
come to the cash drawer in my office?
we would make a bet right after the show. Because look, when you got to get somebody in the church basement.
When's he die, boss?
He's going to die in Iowa. You got to get somebody who wants to sit in a church basement.
7 months from now.
I wouldn't bet that.
I think
even though he's leading the who's going to beat him?
I think it's going to end up being Scott Walker. I think Scott Walker's been. I'm serious. I think he's been in Iowa long enough.
I'll tell you what he needs to do if he's going to get to April's time in Iowa in February. He can't just do it based on the one lounge act that he did the other day. He can't do it just by getting headlines for a crowd of 25,000 people. He's got to do it by getting into some specifics and by getting into substantive fights.
Okay, how many people go to the Iowa caucuses, roughly?
100,000.
Yes.
So he's got to be able to draw 4 25,000 tranches in one night.
Okay, all right. Now you heard what they had to say. Let me take it a real time. Okay, here's what's
Is this style we're watching here?
No, this isn't style. I'm listening to old tradition.
Old tradition.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, slow down, everybody. We're about to hear the new gospel. Okay, here it is. What
According
is it?
to April, no. But let me say this to you. What was is not today. We are seeing something we've never seen before. Donald Trump knows what he's doing. He is building his campaign organization. He's building his staff. Not only that, he's watching all the little candidates who have like 3% or less and watching them fall off as they don't have the money that he has. Money is funding him. He has $6 to $7 for their every one.
He lasts.
Money makes him work. Hold on. But not
wait, you are doing what he does. You're putting your hand in my face.
I'm just glad I'm all the way over here.
That is what Trump does.
But let me
Excuse me for living.
I'm sorry. I love you. I adore you, Chris. But let me say this, and this is the last thing. I think Donald Trump is getting a lot of first-timers who are expected to be first-time voters. Because a lot of people don't get into the where thou art in politics.
Quick, around the table. Ron, you first. Bernie, last or not last? Moment or movement?
Movement. I'm going to say movement.
Okay. Anybody else think he's a movement?
I do. He's a movement.
Movement? Bernie.
He's someone there.
Okay.
We'll see how long.
We got 4 votes to 1 unsure.
Movement with a lowercase.
Okay, Donald Trump, movement or moment? Howard first.
I think he's going to turn into a movement because I agree with April. He's utterly different in politics.
Howard, amen.
His moment's done by Iowa.
Okay, go on.
He's a movement.
Okay, 2 movements, 3 movements. Your thoughts, Ron? You're the last one. Is he a movement or a moment?
I think he's a Bernie. I think he's a movement. I really do.
How about the other guy? How about
Donald Trump? No, Donald Trump. He may be a long moment. He may stick around, but he's a moment.
Okay, thank you. You may be right. It may not just be your heart talking. Anyway, my guest tonight, the great Ron Reagan. Thank you, sir, from out there in Seattle. It's even cooler out there. Howard Fineman, my friend forever, actually. April Ryan, who takes over everywhere she goes. And Jason Johnson, the new kid on the block. Hardball, back right after this. Thank you.